The prompt system I wish I had last year. There's a mistake almost everyone makes when they start using AI. They think the tool is the advantage. They think access is the edge. They think the breakthrough comes from discovering the right model, the right update, or the right feature. But that's not what changes outcomes. What actually changes outcomes is something quieter, something less obvious. It's not the tool, it's the system behind how you use it. And last year, I didn't have one. I had prompts, I had experiments, I had moments where AI felt impressive, and moments where it felt useless. What I didn't have was a repeatable way to think with it, a way to direct it, a way to make it reliable. That absence cost me time. It cost me clarity. And in hindsight, it cost me leverage. This episode is about the prompt system I wish I had last year. Not a list of clever prompts, not a library of hacks, but a way of working that turns AI into something dependable, something strategic, something that compounds. When I first started using AI seriously, I treated it like most people do. I opened the interface, I typed what I needed, and I hoped for the best. Sometimes the output was good. Sometimes it was vague. Sometimes it was confident and wrong. And every time it failed, I assumed the problem was the tool. I assumed I needed to phrase things better, or try again, or switch models. But over time, a pattern started to emerge. The quality of the output didn't correlate with how smart the AI was. It correlated with how clear I was. Not clear in the sense of grammar, clear in the sense of thinking. When I didn't know exactly what I wanted, the AI didn't either. When my request was fuzzy, the output was fuzzy. When my goal was vague, the response drifted. The AI wasn't failing. It was reflecting my own lack of structure. That realization changed everything. Most people think prompting is about wording. They think if they find the perfect sentence, the AI will suddenly perform. But prompting isn't about sentences. It's about decisions. It's about knowing what role you want the AI to play, what context it needs, and what kind of output actually moves you forward. Without that, you're just typing. With it, you're directing intelligence. And direction is the real leverage. The first thing I wish I had last year was a default role system. Back then, I would ask the AI to do everything. Write, analyze, summarize, decide, explain. All without telling it who it was supposed to be. That's like walking into a company and shouting a task into the air. Someone might respond, but you don't know who, and you don't know at what level. Now, every serious interaction starts with a role, not a gimmick, a functional role. Strategist, editor, analyst, advisor. When you define the role, you constrain the behavior. You limit randomness. You increase signal. The AI stops guessing and starts performing. That alone would have saved me dozens of hours last year, because I wouldn't have had to keep correcting outputs that were never aligned to begin with. The second thing I wish I had was a thinking first workflow. Last year, I used AI mostly to produce things: content, copy, outlines, emails. But production is downstream. The real value happens before anything is written. It happens in thinking, in framing, in pressure testing ideas, in exposing blind spots. Once I started using AI as a thinking partner instead of a writing assistant, everything changed. I stopped asking it to create and started asking it to challenge, to question, to stress test, to simulate consequences. This removed a massive amount of internal friction. Decisions that used to take days now took minutes. Not because I rushed, but because I had structure. I could see trade-offs clearly. I could see second-order effects. I could move forward without emotional fog. That shift alone made AI feel less like a novelty and more like infrastructure. The third thing I wish I had was a standard output framework. Last year, every interaction was different. Different tone, different format, different depth. That inconsistency created work. I had to re-edit, reshape, rethink. Now I treat AI outputs like deliverables. I define length, format, tone, constraints, what to avoid, what to prioritize. This isn't micromanagement, it's quality control. Once the standard is set, variance disappears. And variance is expensive, especially if you're using AI daily. A system that produces usable output every time is infinitely more valuable than one that occasionally produces brilliance. Consistency beats occasional brilliance, every time. Another thing I underestimated last year was decision velocity. I didn't realize how much time I was losing to indecision, not because I didn't know what to do, but because I kept thinking about it, revisiting the same choices, replaying the same scenarios. I changed that, but only once I learned how to ask it the right way. Not what should I do, but what happens if I wait? What happens if I act now? What are the non-obvious risks? What's the simplest viable path forward? When you ask those questions consistently, decisions stop feeling heavy. They become mechanical, and that's a gift. Because in fast-moving environments, speed isn't optional, it's survival. I also wish I had understood earlier that prompts are not commands. They are environments. They shape how the AI thinks, just like incentives shape human behavior. If you create a sloppy environment, you get sloppy output. If you create a structured environment, you get clarity. Once I internalized that, prompting stopped feeling like trial and error. It started feeling like architecture. I wasn't guessing anymore. I was designing interactions. That's when AI stopped surprising me and started serving me. Another lesson I learned too late was that AI rewards preparation. If you dump raw thoughts into it, you get raw responses. If you organize your inputs, you get organized outputs. Now, before I ask the AI anything important, I prepare. I outline the situation. I define the constraints. I explain what matters and what doesn't. That upfront investment pays off immediately because I don't have to fix the output later. Preparation moves the work forward. Correction moves it sideways. There's also a deeper shift that happened, one I didn't expect. Using a proper prompt system actually improved how I think, because to give clear direction, you need clarity yourself. You're forced to articulate goals, to define standards, to separate signal from noise. Over time, that discipline compounds. You stop rambling. You stop chasing. You stop reacting. You start operating. That's not an AI benefit. That's a leadership benefit. Another mistake I made last year was assuming AI was just a productivity multiplier. It's not. It's a cognitive multiplier. It doesn't just help you do more, it helps you think better. But only if you respect it as such. If you treat it like a shortcut, you get shallow results. If you treat it like a system, you get leverage. That distinction matters because shallow results feel exciting. Leverage changes trajectories. Looking back, the prompt system I wish I had last year wasn't complex. It wasn't advanced. It was disciplined. A small number of repeatable patterns, used consistently. Roles, context, clear outputs, thinking before producing, standards over novelty, speed over perfection. That system would have saved me time, but more importantly, it would have saved me attention. And attention is the most expensive resource you have. Today, when I see people frustrated with AI, I recognize the pattern. They're not failing. They're just operating without structure. They're expecting intelligence to compensate for ambiguity. It won't. AI amplifies whatever you bring to it. Clarity in, clarity out. Confusion in, confusion out. Once you accept that, everything becomes simpler. If you're listening to this and thinking, I already use AI, that's not the question. The question is, Do you trust the outputs? Do you rely on them? Do they reduce your mental load? Or do they just add more things to review? A real system reduces friction. If AI is creating more work, something is wrong upstream. The truth is, the advantage window is still open, but it's closing. Prompt literacy will become baseline. Tools will get easier. Access will be universal. The differentiator won't be who uses AI. It will be who directs it well. That's why systems matter. They outlast tools. They compound. And they scale with you. The prompt system I wish I had last year wasn't about being clever. It was about being deliberate. About respecting thinking as a process. About building something repeatable. If you take nothing else from this episode, take this. Stop asking how to use AI. Start asking how to direct intelligence. That shift changes everything. If this episode helped you, like, subscribe, and share it. This conversation matters. And if you want deeper strategies on leverage, persuasion, and direct response marketing, check out the book Direct Marketing. You Have to Reach Millions. Available now on Amazon. This is Trapper's Avatar with Grown Man Productions. You have to reach millions.
It's the wrap up.